All right, y'all, we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business today. We're going to see for its local search, Haymarket, Virginia looks like, and for its city search, I see if it has BSS for either of them. So we're back here in the GBC universe, where we take declining boudoir photographers, turn them into the #1 boudoir photographers in their city. Our North Star, as always, is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More about that and, whatever, pinned post, pinned video, home video, somewhere around here. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So if we're falling, we're missing somewhere in this, intent ladder. We're not capturing the amount of people we need to at each intent step or intent level. So we see over on the left, BSS, that's what we talk about here. That's the highest intent people doing, social search, Google search. And then over on the right, the lowest intent people, that's BLCS, that's our other brand, Boudoir Facebook Ad Doctor. That's what we're working with boudoir photographers spending more than 10 grand per month on their boudoir Facebook ads. But BSS, that's what we care about today. So we care about the highest intent people right now. So BSS is boudoir search sameness. That's when a boudoir photographer has 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. So 0 slots on page 1, and we're invisible. We're basically dead. And that's because that means we're on page 2 or deeper, and we know that approximately 80% of Google searches never go past the first page. That's literally page 1 only. So those 20%ers, we don't care about them. We want to deal with the 80%. 80%ers, the bulk of people. Now, 1 slot on page 1 also is not good for us because we look like everyone else on page 1. If there's 9 other boudoir photographers and everyone's got 1 link, then the searcher, the buyer, is simply going to literally click and opens everyone's website, contact everyone. We don't stand out at all. Probably won't even remember our name. So boudoir search sameness, boudoir photographer has 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google is not normal. Extremely common, but it's not normal is actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. First deeper root cause is market saturation, which most know about. The second one is the false belief of page 1 equality, which most people do not know about. Now, the market saturation, it's for, seems like every week someone gets a new iPhone, they throw up their Google My Business profile, and they say they shoot boudoir, they got their website up, they're competing with us to rank on page 1. Basically, more boudoir photographers over time competing for the same number of buyers, so it makes it harder, more difficult for everyone to compete. So that's consistently pushing people out of page 1 onto page 2, and effectively invisible to 80% of searchers that never even go to page 2. Now the new one here, we got the false belief of page 1 equality. This is new because people have kind of auto-accepted it because there's never really a word to describe this. For people to say, oh, I agree with that or disagree with that or I think it's true or false or whatever. But the false belief of page 1 is equality is basically assuming, getting 0 or 1 slot on page 1 of Google is the default. It's the norm. Everyone either has 0 slots or 1 slot, and maybe you had 1 slot on Google page 1, but market saturation puts us off to page 2. So all right, we got 0 slots on page 1, we got 1 slot on page 2, and all right, that's how it is. It's how being a boudoir photographer is. But no, actually, we can actually take as many page 1 slots as we want to put in the work for. And I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google in 10 days. So this kind of page 1 equality assumption or like default belief, default assumption is 100% incorrect, which we'll see in a few more pictures down here. We also know that a boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness, so 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google, is a disappearing boudoir photographer. Yeah, it's kind of like the canary in the coal mine. I mean, if you got 0 slots on page 1, you're definitely disappearing. 1 slot on page 1, probably also disappearing as well because there may be some other people that got 2 slots on page 1, and we're not at 1 slot. We're not staying out at all. We're basically invisible. We're being price shopped against everyone. So it's kind of the canary in the coal mine where once someone becomes a disappearing boudoir photographer and they don't fight against it, then pretty soon, eventually, the entire business disappears as well. So it's kind of the canary in the coal mine of what can happen next future in the business. So BSS, luckily we got the solution. BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka our S-cubed methodology. We invented this, been working on it for about 7 months now. We're liking the results so far, so we're bringing it to market. And To utilize S-Cube's methodology, remember it's social search saturation. So we saturate search on Facebook search, Instagram search, TikTok search, YouTube search with what our, people searching for boudoir photo shoots will be typing in. So we show up there. And once we do that, that actually flows over to Google. So saturating social search actually flows over to Google kind of as a byproduct, giving us multiple links on page one. And again, I went from 0 out of 10 links on page one to 9 out of 10 links on page one for what I wanted to rank for in 10 days. And so the magic about this is the only way someone can use this is if they crash, if they destroy that false belief of page one equality. Because once we use S-Cube methodology, and once you actually see these results I got, we'll realize, oh, that belief was actually false. Page one equality is not the norm. Google actually will give us as many links as we want to put in the effort to acquire, as many page one links. And so the second magical thing about S-Cube's methodologies is it's the only thing I've seen that actually fights back against market saturation. So imagine if there's, we're a boudoir photographer in LA, and there's a total of 1 million boudoir photographers in LA. Everyone's got their own website. So everyone's, fiercely competing to be page one on Google. But imagine we take the S-Cubed methodology to the extreme where we rank so hard for the highest intent keywords for people searching for boudoir photo shoots. And, we absolutely crush social search saturation, where literally like the first 300 slots of any and every search related to boudoir is us. So it's around all the social platforms that flows over to Google. And let's say the first 300 organic results on Google are only us as well, because we took S-Cubed methodology to the max. So the fact that there's 999,999 other boudoir photographers actually doesn't matter to us, because for the first 300 slots, anywhere somebody looks for a boudoir photo shoot in LA, we're the only ones there. They got to go down to slot like 301, and Google is 10 organic slots per page. So they got to go to page like 31 to find another boudoir photographer. So whose business is still doing great? Ours, even though there's literally 999,999 other boudoir photographer competitors. So this is one of the special things about S-Cubed methodology. It's the only thing I've seen that actually, builds momentum and helps us compete against market saturation. That can happen relatively quickly. The only other second thing would be brand. People doing branded searching for our brand specifically, but that takes years. So this is something that happens way faster than years to build a brand. And now once treated with S-Cubed methodology, we now have page one visibility. So we're actually seen on page one, even though, we may have had one slot on page one, we're still kind of invisible. But with page one visibility, we got 2. Well, we go for the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 here for local search and city search. But the added bonus is every new slot we take up on page one, we are kicking a competing boudoir photographer off page one, effectively making them invisible, because approximately 80% of Google searches never go to page 2. They stay on page 1. And as a result, kind of as we take 4 out of 10 slots, 5 out of 10 slots, 6 out of 10 slots, people searching for at least the 80%, the big chunk we're going for, they can only price shop us or compare us against 2, 3, 4 boudoir photographers instead of against 9, because they ain't going to page 2 anyways. And so this is one of the other bonuses. It's actually kicks our competitors out of basically being found. Now, page one visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us, because we're no longer at a 0 or 1. We're no longer at 0, 1 slots on page 1, and boudoir search for So we're actually standing out. Well, 0, 1, and we won't get to 3 because there may actually be someone else that has 2. I mean, 1's most common, 2's kind of rare. But if we got 3 out of 10, we're ultra rare. And we're definitely standing out against people that have 1 slot each, and still standing out against people that got 2 slots. It's probably only one other person. And a boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility is a visible boudoir photographer, a VBP. And this is our university disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness caused by market saturation and the false belief of page one equality Once we accept page one equality is false, now we know, okay, now we can tackle it, we can solve it. The only thing I know that can solve it is S-cubed methodology. It actually solves, the only thing I know that can solve both false belief of page one equality and market saturation. We achieve page one visibility, we become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. All right, so these are my results actually doing, so ranking for the keyword BLCS boudoir. So that's what I want to rank for. So we got the AI overview, got the Google Map Pack. Now looking at organic. So I got organic slot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10. So I got 9 out of 10 slots on page one of Google. And this was after I went from 0 out of 10 to 9 out of 10 in 10 days. And kicked everyone else off page one. I took it over. And this is showing the power of the S-cubed methodology, where Google wants to give these page one slots to the people that want the page one slots the most, and to be relevant to the user search. So these slots are always up for grabs for everyone that wants them. So now, all right, now on to our main event. We got we're gonna see if this boudoir photography business. We're gonna see if for its local and for its city searches, see if it has, basically see if it has copy that. Basically, we're gonna see if it has BSS for these searches. All right, so here we go. We got our local search here, Haymarket, Virginia. So going down to the organics. All right, boom, we got 1. Boom, we got 2. Boom, we got 3. Let's see. Those don't count. And boom, we got 4. Boom, we got 5. Boom, we got 6. All right, so dude, awesome. This is really good. So we do not have BSS with this local search, and also we have achieved the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 Google page one slots. So really good for local. Then we're gonna look at the DMV, the city search. So let's see what we got here. Now DMV is kind of like a region, so actually gonna be more competitive than the standard city search. All right, we got 0 out of 10, but it's yeah, it's even harder to rank for than the standard city search. So 0 out of 10. So yeah, we do got BSS for the city or region search here, DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia, and we're not hitting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots for that one, but that's a way harder one to rank for. All right, so if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, meaning you've gone to do the local search and the city search with the highest intent boudoir by your keywords, and you either got BSS for one of those searches or you're not reaching the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 page one Google slots. So you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, which now it's kind of the warning, like canary in the coal mine to eventually disappear in boudoir photography business. And you understand page one equalities, the false belief page one equality is exactly that, a false belief. And so you're kind of broken out of the mind cage. You're like, all right, we can take as many page one slots on Google as we want. So I've decided I'm going to put in the effort to do that. And so you're seeing S-cubed methodology is the exact solution you've been looking for. And you also understand, market saturation is kind of natural as people get new gear, more boudoir photographer sellers for the same number of competing for the same number of buyers. And as a result, you are you're liking the initial benefit of more page one slots on Google. You're definitely liking the second initial benefit of basically of more peeps being kicked off page one on Google. And as a result, you're liking those initial benefits, and then you actually are thinking ahead to some future benefits, which is, man, AI is going to be taking so many people's jobs, and that's actually going to be the largest bringer of boudoir photographers into the market, massively increasing the number of sellers. And you're like, all right, I actually got a third benefit. I need to basically fortify my position on Google page one. I need to have so many links on page one, Google can't even fit them there. And Google's like, hold my links in backup to be on page one because I got too many links that could and should be ranking on page one to prevent any of these AI forced people who are losing their jobs that become boudoir photographers to ever even get on page one. Kind of like fortifying the levees in Nolens, Louisiana, because that city is below sea level. So you're seeing kind of future benefit. S-Cube's methodology is the only thing that can give that benefit. And you're also seeing that the other future benefits, basically, we do S-Cube methodology for more and more keywords. We're building out these invisible thematic keyword columns around our brand, around our business. And when we do that, it's kind of like, columns at the Parthenon in Athens, or like, think of like our business, our brand name as kind of the hub out on the internet, and then all these spokes, kind of like a bicycle wheel going into the hub or coming out of the hub. It's basically building up AI mindshare for those thematic keywords, where it's looking at repetition, relevance, frequency, age, authority. How long we've been associated with these keywords, how many times, where are we ranking? And every day we successfully execute S-Cube methodology, we're actually increasing the probability of being recommended up here up top with the AI overview. And when we successfully rank for the AI overview, we are we're actually able higher chance of getting this premium slot. Can't even pay for the slot with ads, this AI overview slot. And I believe it's only one person shown at a time here. And so that's a future benefit. Also, in the same breath, we're increasing the probability that we get recommended AI search, ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini. Increased probability AI search recommends us. And yeah, Google search is still approximately 90% of global search. But dude, AI search is growing literally every single day. And as a result, we are increasing the chance to get recommended there. Last time I used AI search to search for a boudoir photographer in the city was it gave me 3. This is ChatGPT. It gave me 3. Then I went kind of like manually search, on Google, Facebook, and it turns out there was like 60. So I'm like, man, we gotta find a way to get in these 3 slots in kind of like any way possible. And so you're liking that future benefit. You're also liking that my plan right now is to work with only one boudoir photographer per city. So you're seeing that since you've decided to be a first mover and hop on this, you can actually prevent all your competitors from using this strategy. And because of that, you'll be able to get like massive momentum, page 1 slots kicking them off page 1, massive fortification momentum, massive back-end AI mindshare momentum with all these invisible thematic keywords being, basically plugged into your brand and growing that AI mindshare, increasing probability of AI search overview and AI search recommendation you're showing up for, and basically building a gap so big none of your current competitors can catch it, nor any new entrants coming from AI taking people's jobs can catch it. And conversely, you're saying that if one of your competitors were, to start working with me and use the strategy first in your same city, then they would get all those benefits. We'd be building up a massive gap with them, with AI mindshare against you, kicking your links off page 1 of Google, and you would actually have to, then go and rederive S-Cube methodology for yourself, derive it the first time, then go execute it every single day correctly. And then once you do that, you would actually, if you equaled our output, you would literally be maintaining the gap with me and your competitor had already built against you. So you'd actually have to like double or triple our output in order to, basically in order to close the gap, kind of pull that AI mindshare from me and your competitor back over to you. But how's one gonna do 2 to 3x the effort when they aren't even 100% confident they've derived S-Cube methodology correctly in the first place? It's even worth investing all that time. So you've decided, screw it. I ain't missing this chance. I ain't missing this opportunity. I'm simply going to be the first mover and get rolling. So if that's you, shoot me a DM. My DMs are currently closed. The hospital is not currently accepting new patients. But when we do open the hospital for new patient intake, shoot us a DM, and we will see if you qualify to utilize our S-Cubed methodology.